We good here? Seems like YouTube is having some issues today. Danny, I see you in the chat, but I'll get to you in a second. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is MUFC versus everybody. I am your host, Sean. Glad to be back for the evening Manchester United news roundup. The evening show does tend to be a little bit more laid back, a little more abstract kind of stream of consciousness chit chat, and probably a little more off book than the morning show. But that's fine. By the time the evening show rolls around, I'm been through the long day. I'm a little worn out. Usually got a stomach full of food, so I'm chilling. But there's a lot going on today. A lot of stuff to sift through after a lot of reports and rumors that come out this afternoon, many of which seem to kind of contradict each other. So we'll see if we can get it kind of sorted out, if we can kind of organize some of that craziness. Danny B, big YouTube never sent you a notification. Uh-oh, sounds like YouTube's dropping the ball a little bit, guys. I'm not sure why that would be. Hopefully it's just a one-off, but we'll have to let me know in the future if there is no notification. I did set this to go live. I did schedule it probably about a half hour ago, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. If you guys know more about that, let me know. But we're going to get stuck in today, talking a little bit about some transfer updates, some good, some bad. Take a look at the summer window, what we've seen from INEOS so far, and how we're all feeling about it. Because I'm sure if some of you are feeling the way that I've been feeling and what seems like some of social media has been feeling, you know, there's a lot of emotions going on. As we say in the therapy biz, we're feeling a little flooded right now. There's a lot going on up here and in here. So we're going to dive into that today, talk a little bit about some updates, some transfer updates, some more rumors. Before we do get stuck in, though, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you are new, go follow me on Twitter, MUFC versus everybody as well. If you guys want to interact that way, hear some of my thoughts, and just honestly see a lot of GIFs popping up throughout the day. Most of them aimed at Arsenal and Liverpool, and occasionally Samuel Luckers, but that's okay. Before we do go, be honest with me, be honest with the chat, be honest with the viewers. After this morning's show, did you go back and watch some Robin van Persie highlights in Manchester United? It's okay if you did. I mean, I watched some highlights before doing the show because, like I said, it is his birthday today, Robin van Persie. We did wish him a happy birthday this morning. Did you decide on a favorite RVP moment in the United shirt? We talked about that this morning. I gave mine, if you remember what it was. But as we celebrate these former players, the guy who basically single-handedly almost won us the league and led us to my favorite RVP moment in the United shirt is Arsenal having to give us a guard of honor at their stadium when we won the league after taking one of their best players. That's mine. So stick it to Arsenal anytime we can. So let's get stuck in. First and foremost, folks, let's crank it up to 11, everybody. Let's crank it up to 11. Joshua Zirkzee is United's new number 11. This was confirmed by the club earlier today. He will wear the number 11 shirt moving forward. Obviously, this was worn by Rasmus Højlund last season. Anthony Martial had the number 9 last season. Anthony Martial is gone, free agent. Rasmus Højlund took the number 9. Probably a big indicator of, you know, the importance that we're placing on him. Zirkzee gets the number 11 moving forward. We all kind of saw that coming. So big up Joshua Zirkzee. Danny B, that's your favorite memory too of RVP? Yeah. Anytime you get a chance to do that, I mean, that's just one of those things where the planets just line up, and this is why, you know, it's football, right? Is to quote the movie Concussion, right? To quote that movie, it's football. It's football. It's crazy and barbaric and muddy and physical, but it's also Shakespeare sometimes, and you can't write some of that stuff. So I love it. It is what it is. But Rasmus Højlund, number 9. Joshua Zirkzee confirmed by the club, number 11 moving forward. Number 11 for me is coveted, obviously. One of my favorite United players ever, Ryan Giggs, has wore that shirt for more than 2 decades at the club. Such a legendary player, not only for United, but for the Premier League and for football in general. And so many players of that caliber have come through United, have come through our academy. Talking about players like Scholes, David Beckham, Gary Neville. These guys were just the pinnacle of peak footballing quality at that time. And to this day, they're still talked about. I mean, Paul Scholes was like one of the only players that Xavi ever asked for his shirt, you know, after a match. Like, this is a big deal. So when people try to compare Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard and Paul Scholes, I'd say that it's Paul Scholes and then like about 100 miles of shit, and then like Lampard, and then another 100 miles of shit, and then Slippy G. So y'all can just drink your Scouse tears and suck on that. So bitter and salty. Anyway, let's talk about Manuel Ugarte, shall we? Because a lot has been going on today. This whole Ugarte situation is turning into a little bit of a transfer saga. It's kind of turning into the new Frankie de Jong, the new Wesley Sneijder, the new Gaetan, the new all this kind of stuff, right? You remember Gaetan when we were linked with him for like 3 seasons in a row? We were linked with Ugarte. Personal terms agreed, wants to move, discussion with PSG, offers made, etc., etc. And then yesterday we got the big David Ornstein bomba that United are walking away from Ugarte because PSG were just asking too much, weren't willing to negotiate, weren't willing to budge. And we are in this place where we're just tired of overpaying. You know, we're tired of the United tax. We've got a new team in town, Barada, Wilcox, Ashworth and company. We're not overpaying. We're not that United anymore. We're trying hard just to move away from that, and we're ready to move on. The reports added, though, that the deal isn't completely off, but United are checking in on other options to make sure they get the best player for the best price, basically. I just realized I'm not wearing a jersey today. Look at that. Don't know how that's going to throw anybody off. You guys might be having a traumatic response to that. But yeah, not wearing a jersey. Cool. It's kind of cool out today. It kind of feels like fall, so getting into fall mode. But on Ugarte, though, I don't necessarily, like I said, I haven't decided yet whether I think it's the right or wrong decision. It's just a matter of you have to try to look at it from all the different perspectives, right? The fan perspective, the managing perspective, the financial perspective. Again, the financial perspective is going to be big. I'm not saying that's what's important, but you have to look at it from that angle because that's for sure how INEOS are looking at these things. Again, caveat, the deal isn't necessarily off 100%, but you know, it's the financial issues. And yeah, because we have to sell to buy, and we're struggling to sell players, and we're going to get into that in a little while. Florian Plettenberg, so Plettigol on Twitter, has added to that Ugarte would still like to join United because he does remain keen on our project. Again, that's not the first time we've talked about that. It's not the only time we're going to hear about that today. Even is the project that we're selling. It sounds like players are buying into the project, right? We hijacked Zirkzee. We hijacked Lenny Euro. We took this kid from Arsenal's academy when he had offers from Germany and stuff because we convinced him with Ruud, with the project, the plan, the pathway. We're working on something. So, and then PSG and United are in contact still despite that valuation gap. So the door is not closed yet, it sounds like, but it's been a saga. Danny B says we should be getting 2 mids for 60 million. Fofana and Amrabat, 40, 50 million. Yeah, it could be a lot of things, man. Technically, you can almost get 3 with that if you go for like, if you want to get like a Sanderberg, an Amrabat, and a Rabiot for free, that's 3 midfielders right there that would cost about half of what PSG are asking for Ugarte. I mean, that's the kind of transfer recruitment and scouting that I like. I look at people who buy players for like 100 million. I'm like, that could be like 3, almost 4 players with some really good scouting and recruitment. But we just don't do that at United, right? Danny B says, João Gomez and Amrabat, 55 to 60 tops. Yeah, I saw rumors yesterday, obviously, when the Ugarte stuff broke, that Wolves were going to ask for like 60 million euros. And I saw it earlier today from some sources. I'm not sure how reliable the source was, but it was like they dropped it down like 35, 40 mil. So you never know. With some wheeling and dealing, I think you could get it done. Problem is, City kind of screwed everybody because how much did City pay for Matheus Nunes from Spurs or from Wolves when De Bruyne went down injured? How many minutes has Matheus Nunes even played for City, by the way? Danny B, João Gomez is always in my top 3. We know, buddy. We know that you and João Gomez have just that connection, man. I feel it. I can feel it through the screen. I like João Gomez a lot, too. He was in my central defensive midfield targets a couple months ago when I did that video on CDMs. 40, you think they paid 40 for Nunez. All right. So like I shared in the Ugarte video, though, that we talked about yesterday, United do have a list of alternatives. One name on the list who we've been linked with and apparently we're kind of rekindling our interest in right now is Monaco's midfielder Youssouf Fofana. He's been deep in talks for several weeks now with AC Milan over a move. It sounds like he wants to go to Milan. He's entering the final year of his contract at Monaco. Monaco want to get something for him. INEOS could probably take a note there. There were reports the other week that we could hijack the move, and now Italian outlet Get Italian Football News, that is the name of the outlet, right? There's some fresh reports coming all around the place that United could be looking to beat AC Milan to Fofana, similar to how we beat them to Zirkzee. So Luca Bianchin, he's a journalist with Gazzetta dello Sport as well. He reports that Fofana is also actually open to a move to United, but he still prefers AC Milan. Sounds familiar. Sky Sports have chimed in as well. They say that we have actually held talks with Monaco to discuss the terms of this transfer. And then Pletigol has added that United have shared the project, again, that word again, with Fofana weeks ago. And it sounds like the player could be open to it. We just haven't actually made an official offer yet. So, again, we have a lot of things working on where it's like one of those things where when one move happens, the rest of the dominoes are going to fall. And I think, unfortunately, that first move that needs to happen is selling a player like a McTominay, like a Casemiro. Saw reports today that United thought they were going to be able to sell Casemiro this summer, but nobody wanted to buy. Surprise, surprise, when you have a 31-year-old on over 300,000 a week and 2 years left on his contract is not going to be ideal. Even the Saudi League does have its limitations. So it's interesting that we might be going back in for Youssouf Fofana. I know a lot of people really like Fofana. I do think he gets around the pitch. He's very energetic. He wins the ball back. He does give the ball away a lot, if I remember correctly. So that could be an issue, I guess, in this league with a high press where you're not going to get much time and space on the ball. I don't want to have another, Casemiro, Eriksen, Pogba situation where we're going to lose the ball quite a bit in dangerous areas of the pitch. But I do see him. He is a very intensive pressing midfielder. He does harangue the opposition to win the ball back, which I like that. He reminds me a little bit of Ander Herrera in that regard, where he's just, or like a Marcelo Brozovic, where he's just getting around the pitch and he's just not letting up. And I like that. Let's move on to those friendly Germans, Bayern Munich, because they are taking the absolute piss this summer right now, if I'm got to be honest. They're really starting to get on my nerves. And this isn't just me like, come on, sell us a player. It's just the sheer I don't even know, the gall of what they're doing. So this is coming from Florian Plettenberg. From Bayern Munich's perspective, the offer from Manchester United for Matthijs de Ligt is still not sufficient to proceed with the deal. The two clubs remain apart on the fee. Bayern still want 50 million euros plus bonuses. And that's just for de Ligt. Negotiations for Mazraoui are more concrete at this stage, with the transfer fee expected of at least 25 million euros all in. So it sounds like they want the total package for Mazraoui, 25 million. That's probably a little more than I want to pay. I'd probably want to go no higher than 20 for Mazraoui, especially considering this is where I'm talking about Bayern taking the piss. When West Ham were interested in Mazraoui, Bayern quoted them at like 15 some odd million. Like, that's what I'm talking about. This is that United tax that people are trying to just get away with, and I'm not having it anymore. Ugh. Danny B, I feel Fofana would have signed for Milan and been sold by now weeks in, but Monaco know United are interested and would generate more money from us. You feel 70% we get Fofana. We're definitely getting somebody. We could get two. I think that even if we get someone like Fofana, even if, let's say, we got like a João Gomez for like 45 million, 30, 40, whatever, I think you still need to try to get in someone else as well, whether that's a Rabiot, whether that is if the club want to go grab Amrabat again. I think that you can't say no to that. If you can get two midfielders for the price of one Ugarte, especially given how many injuries we tend to pick up, especially given how many matches we play throughout the season, I think that you can't afford not to. We still can try to move Eriksen on. We could still try to sell McTominay. Who knows? Maybe we'll just I'll get a cut price on McTominay. I don't know, but we do need to improve. And I do think Amrabat is better than McTominay. Obviously, João Gomez, I think, is better than a lot of the players we have. I don't think we can afford to carry Christian Eriksen anymore. I think there's nothing wrong with Christian Eriksen. I think he's been a great servant. He's had some great moments for the club. I just think that injury, just like I've said, has just kind of accelerated his decline a bit, and it's showing. And he's a liability defensively. So Danny B says, I'd be happy with Fofana, Amrabat. I think Wolves want 50, 60 for Gomez because we are, yeah. And again, United tax. They want that much because we're United. I don't know why people just think they can do that. I don't know why City can go out and just spend certain amount of money on a player and then turn around and sell them for 90 some odd total package. I think that that's shady, because I don't think Alvarez is worth what Atletico are going to pay for him, honestly, and I don't see how that is happening. There's got to be, I mean, and we know City are dealing with a lot of legal stuff, so who knows what's going on, but it's going to be interesting summer. In terms of that, Wan-Bissaka, Mazraoui, you know, if Bayern aren't willing to budge, if Wan-Bissaka wants this payoff or whatever, it might be time to walk away from that one as well. Maybe move on to someone like a Dumfries, who apparently wants to join United, or even keep Wan-Bissaka for another season if that's what it comes down to. I mean, he was reportedly open to a move to Inter. Maybe there's a swap deal opportunity there. Danny B, do you know if Varela has a release clause? I do not know. Weren't Liverpool linked with him this summer? Let's check Google, shall we? This is what I say about the evening shows. We go off book. It's all right. So apparently, according as of 8 hours ago, wait, no, that's not him. 70 million, 60 million pound release clause, according to some Portuguese outlets. And that was as of May 2024. So he does reportedly have a release clause of 70 million euros, 60 million pounds, which isn't, honestly, that the two are very comparable. João Gomez, Manuel Ugarte, Alan Varela, all, if you trigger the release clause, all of them are probably going to cost around the same amount of money. That's a tricky one, right? But as you say, yeah, it is too much. I think, and I don't think we're going to want to look at too many release clauses, because like with Zirkzee, we paid a little bit more than the release clause for Zirkzee because it meant that we could spread that out over a number of years. If you pay the release clause, you have to pay the whole thing, which is like what City did with Grealish, even though he's a freaking flop. But we'll see what happens. I think on Wan-Bissaka, if we're willing to walk away from Ugarte and we don't want to overpay anymore for players, we have to do it with someone like De Ligt. We have to do it with someone like Mazraoui if Bayern just, again, are taking the piss with their asking price. I mean, you have to move on at a certain point. We have plenty of options if we want to. Like, I know we were linked with Trevor Chalobah at Chelsea. He could be almost half the price of De Ligt, honestly, and he's old enough. He's got the experience. I think that he could probably, sounds like he'd be happy to kind of not be a guaranteed in the starting 11 week in, week out, at least maybe when Euro is fit. I don't know. I mean, you can keep haggling for weeks over a player like we tend to do at United, and that's going to hurt us when we start the season not getting these players in, or you cave, overpay, and now everyone knows, again, the United tax is still a thing. Like, it's a hard situation to be in. Danny B says, you read my mind, Chalobah. Yeah, I think that if get the Mazraoui thing done, but if Bayern don't want to lower their price on De Ligt, because we know Bayern want to sell players. We know they need to sell players. They know they want to bring in other players. Like, let them sweat it out, and we can go get Chalobah, and then they're stuck with a player that they don't want, who knows that they don't want them, and it is what it is. But we'll see what happens with that. In terms of overpaying for Mazraoui, in terms of overpaying for players, in terms of moving on to other right-back targets, you know, at this point in the transfer window, as United fans, really all we can do is kind of wait and watch and hope that there's more going on behind the scenes than we know about, right? Because I think that I don't think that there's necessarily like secret things. Like, we're not going to get like a super big surprise deal, but I think that we're working more simultaneously on different deals than we have in the past. And I think that's something that I kind of get the feeling that it is happening, even though we're not like hearing explicitly that's what's going on. But in terms of the transfer window goes, I mean, it's like floating down the river on a tube or something. You know, you're really just along for the ride. There's nothing, you can't control the river. You just kind of trust where it's going to take you, right? So I will say, though, that INEOS will face some backlash, I think, that if they can't find a solution for some of these players that we're trying to get rid of, some of these players who are running down contracts and leaving for free agents, if they can't find amicable solutions for that, if they can't be ruthless for that, but then also in the same breath turn around and lay off hundreds of employees at Manchester United who aren't players, I think they're going to face some backlash for that. And so they really have to finish strong. It kind of sputtered out a few weeks ago. and these injuries have kind of really, I think, hurt our negotiation power as well. Danny B's transfer window is not going to be over 6 or 7 by the looks of it. Yeah, we'll see. They could finish strong, but I think that it's not just about the players you get. It's not about how many players you get. You could get a lot of players, a lot of really good players, but if you don't bring them in until 2 or 3 matches into the season already, if you bring them in deadline day, for instance, that to me is still not a good transfer window. Because my issue has never been the lack of buying players. It's that we're not quick enough in the transfer market to get these players in for preseason, to get them time. We didn't bring Casemiro in for a couple seasons the first year Ten Hag was here. We did the same thing with Antony. Like, we just scramble, and it leaves us struggling, and it hurts us in the long run. It hurts us on the pitch. We could have, who knows what could have happened those first few matches, Ten Hag's first season in charge, had we had Casemiro or whoever in the squad a month prior. You never know, and that's the problem. So I was hoping things would be different. We did get a lot of good. I think we're moving. I think we got a couple early deals in. I think that, again, it's the FFP stuff, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail here. Moving on to some potential outgoings. Could Antony be on his way to the Saudi League? If you saw the thumbnail, I mean, I always try to find the funny Antony photos if I can, because I just think Antony's just got one of those faces. No matter what face he makes, he just looks funny. I like it. So this is coming from Transfer Insider reporter Pete O'Rourke. Yes, Antony could be out the door. So supposedly Al Nassr have registered their interest in signing Antony. Now, I remember that's where Cristiano Ronaldo joined after he threw a little baby tantrum and talked to Piers Morgan, and the two of them basically had a private little moment together. Forced himself out of the club, decided to go take the money and go play in the league, where basically the equivalent of a high school soccer team, the amount of people show up to those games. But apparently that club was interested in signing Rafinha from Barcelona, but they've now reportedly switched their attention to Antony after failing to agree a deal with Barcelona for Rafinha. Ben Jacobs adds to this that Al Nassr's efforts to sign Antony are being downplayed, in fact, as the Saudi club is facing challenges in meeting their budget requirements. So it sounds like they're having some struggles as well, and they don't want to be exploited. So it sounds like, there's more going on to that move than we know about, according to Ben Jacobs. Danny B says, what a mess this squad is when you go through it, bro. I don't want to go through it when it comes to, I mean, it depends. Like, any angle you try to go into that kind of like exploration in on the squad, there's no good angle to go in there. It's like trying to cross a river that's, there's quicksand here, there's a shark there, or maybe not a shark in the river, maybe an alligator there, there's some crazy line. Like, there's no good way. You just got to pick one and just send it, right? Because if you want to look at it from quality, you want to look at it from injury record, you want to look at it from age, you want to look at it from wages, you want to look at it from how much left is on people's contract. You want to look at it from how many players are still Mourinho players that we're still having to carry around, like Victor Lindelof. No offense to Lindelof, but you're a Mourinho player, bud. There have been a couple managers since then that we still can't sell these players. Like, that's not a good look for any club. We just seem to that seems to be the thing we're good at, is looking horrible, I guess, when it comes to that kind of stuff. Danny B says, everyone ain't going to be calling for Ten Hag head before Christmas. That's sad. Yeah. And that's my worry too. And it is kind of part and parcel when you are the manager, whether it's your fault or not, you are the one who's going to take responsibility. It's like manager at a restaurant, you might have had bad service. The food might have not been cooked well. That's not the manager's fault, but the manager takes responsibility for it. So it is unfortunate. That is kind of the name of the game as manager. And they know it too. Obviously, I can sit here and call it out when it's unjustified, when it's not Ten Hag's fault that all this is going on. He's working with both hands behind his back, basically. But at the same time, I also don't feel too bad for managers when they do get sacked, especially ahead of their contract, because they do get a hefty payout and they will be managing again within a year. It's not like there's always a job for managers. And it seems like most of the clubs, especially the big clubs, would rather stick with managers who have been around for a while than try to take a risk on a young manager. You see it now and then, like we did with Ollie a little bit. Liverpool are doing with Arne Slot. You could say we even did it with Ten Hag a little bit. I'm surprised that nobody really tried hard for Ruben Amorim. I think that he has a lot to offer. But we'll see. I think in the next couple of years, you're going to see that kind of young generation. I spoke about them on my manager video a while back when I was going through some of the managers. You have that generation of managers coming through, your Matas, your Amorims, your Kieran McKennas, these guys who are young, they're up and coming, I think, or Domenico Tedesco, Julian Nagelsmann, those guys as well. Those guys are going to be, in the next 5-6 years, that's going to be it. There's not going to be any more, Peps and Ancelottis and whatnot, and Mourinho's and who's the dude now? Conte's and stuff at that point. So Simeone is even getting up there. So moving on to another player that has been heavily linked with a move away recently, Scott McTominay. So reportedly, Fulham are pushing to sign McTominay and have already had a few offers rejected. So coming from Miguel Delaney, he's the chief football writer for The Independent. Whenever I hear The Independent, I always think Ted Lasso, Trent Krim Independent kind of thing. But I watch a lot of football. Even the fiction shows I watch are football related, guys. It's ridiculous. According to Delaney, though, we are holding out for a £30 million package for McTominay. So not base price, package. So I think if Fulham came back with like 25 mil and then another couple million for add-ons, I think we would probably go ahead and take that. It just doesn't sound like they want to spend that much, even though reports are that they've already had 3 offers rejected for McTominay. Reportedly, they have not come close to an acceptable bid in those offers. Negotiations are reportedly still ongoing. Fast forward then to a couple hours ago, Sky Sports are reporting that as it stands, Fulham are not actually now expected to return with another offer. But then Miguel Delaney again says they're still likely to pursue McTominay with hopes that a deal that satisfies all parties going to be reached. I mean, like I said at the start of the video, the reports coming out today, rapid fire, they seem to just kind of, it's like that match, Don Fry, that MMA match with Don Fry against I can't remember the other dude, but the blonde dude, where they just start punching each other left and right in the corner. It's just what it feels like with some of these reports. One journal says one thing, the other journal says something that seems to be contradictory, and it just goes back and forth all day. Like I said, I try to collect it all. I try to share it with you, get your thoughts. Seems like Danny B's thought is just praying McTominay goes and get it out of here. I think again, there's nothing personal against McTominay, but if selling him is a difference between strengthening midfield or not, bye. I'll fly over there right now, pick you up from Carrington and drive you to Fulham myself. I'll go rent an Uber. I'll pay for it, bro. We can stop, get some Nando's if you want. We can go get a sausage roll. We can do whatever you want, man. My treat. We'll do it all. We'll go to Wagayama, get some pork belly tacos, which I did have when I was there. I did go to Nando's. I was told it was a great spot. I really like the tea that they have there. The Wagayama was really, really, really good. That was on point. The plan is next time to spend a whole day downtown and just eat food, basically. So if you guys have any recommendations, if you know Manchester, let me know. Usman, are you good? I am good, man. How are you doing? Who is my favorite player? I'm going to be honest with you, buddy. I don't really do favorite players now. When I was younger, my favorite player was Ryan Giggs, but these days I don't really have a favorite player. Do you have a favorite player? You let me know. As far as McTominay goes, all the conflicting reports. Usman's a Messi or Ronaldo guy. I think that kind of battle is kind of come and gone, right? I think that was the battle that dominated the 2010s for a little while, but now I think it's what's it going to be, Haaland or Mbappe kind of thing. Ronaldo is the GOAT. Ronaldo was the GOAT until he did that Piers Morgan interview, and that took him down a couple notches. But on McTominay, I'm going to plagiarize David Ornstein again and just say I've given up trying to figure out what's going on with this. We'll see. Do we need to sell him? Yes. Will we sell him? It could go 50-50 right now, if I'm being honest with you. I don't think there's anything wrong with what we're asking for McTominay, like I've said, compared to what some of these other players are going for, like Emile Smith-Rowe and whatnot. But I think in the context of United and what we need right now, outside of fair market value, what we need, if that's the difference between bringing in a midfielder or even two, just take the 20 to 23 million and just walk, and that's fine. I mean, it is what it is. It sounds like we need the cash. Usman, we're not going to get into some politics, buddy. So we're here to talk United. We're here to talk transfer rumors. We're here to talk summer window business, ins and outs, things like that. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the support in the channel, but That's just not what we get into here, bud. So much love for coming and supporting the channel. But I'm just gonna ask to not do that. So if you keep it up, though, I am gonna have somebody put you on a timeout for a little bit. So Danny B will handle my light work for me if you can't be respectful of everyone else's time, my guy. Again, thank you for being here. Thank you for popping on the video, but we're not going to get into that today. Speaking of sales that have kind of been a struggle for us, though, so there has no, you're good, bro. You're fine, Usman. Just, you know, that's not what we're doing here, and I just don't want people to spam the chat, is all. So there has been a bit of a stumbling block as well in trying to sell another player, and that is Victor Lindelof. So this is coming from James Ducker. He's claimed that even though there are clubs in Italy and in Turkey, such as Fenerbahce, who have expressed interest in Victor Lindelof, his wages are an issue. Surprise, surprise. Wages that we pay a player are a stumbling block for making a sale. He is on, Victor Lindelof is on, wait for it. Wait for it. Are you guys sitting down? Victor Lindelof is on 120K a week, y'all. 120K a week for Victor Lindelof. Nothing personal against Lance Lindelof, but who decided that was a good idea? That's insane that Victor Lindelof is on 120. And of course, no one's going to buy Victor Lindelof for 120K. I mean, come on, man. That's ridiculous. I'm surprised that McTominay hasn't battered down the door because he's on McTominay is only on like 60K a week. McTominay makes less than Wan-Bissaka, makes half as much as Victor Lindelof does. Like, we have to sell McTominay because if we keep McTominay longer, we're going to have to give him a new contract, and then we're going to be stuck with him forever. That's just the way it is. Man, I cannot believe when I looked that up for this video on how much Lindelof was being paid, I was floored. Remember the other day when I did that video about whether or not INEOS have been a bit naive in the summer window? This is what I was talking about as well. Not just like not being prepared for the United tax or whatever, but just the fact that the wages that we pay our players make it literally impossible to sell them. If you needed any proof, go back over the last several years and just look at any sort of sales. We barely sold any players. The only players that we've sold for profit have been academy graduates that we've only sold because we needed money, and like players like Greenwood who were having issues, and so we needed to get rid of him. Daniel James, we made some money on. Before that, it was Ronaldo. Like, other than that, it's academy players. Like, I think Daley Blind, maybe did we sell Blind for a little bit more? But other than that, it's academy players. We don't sell them for any sort of profit, like a Di Maria or a Lukaku, or they go for free, like Pogba, De Gea, Varane, Martial, Ander Herrera. That one still bugs me. Phil Jones, whose contract we just kept upping and upping and upping. And so that's what I mean. Like, are they being naive? Has it been a failure on their part to really get a good grasp of the situation that they were taking on when it comes to just the job, the project, the sheer chore that it's going to be to move on these players? Usman, do I have a donation box? You talking about a super chat? Yeah, the channel is not that big yet to get that. I think you have to get to a certain amount of subscribers and a certain amount of hours viewed before you can start doing things like super chats and like ads and stuff. But I do appreciate the thought. Check back in hopefully maybe in a few months we can get up there. It's going to take a little while, but check back in a few months and you're more than welcome to do that. I would appreciate that. That'd be great. As somebody asked me the other week, you know, as terms of the channel, do I want to do this for like full time? Probably not. This is a hobby. I just enjoy doing this. I enjoy doing the research. I enjoy talking to you guys, sharing my thoughts, more importantly, getting yours. I have a job. I have a business that keeps me pretty busy. So I would never say no to the channel growing to that point, but that was never the goal, I guess, was the way to say it. So, but I do appreciate the support, man. Come back, you know, be a part of the channel, be a regular viewer, you know, get involved in the chat and stuff. And then hopefully the more people can do that, the more the channel can grow. And then, yes, if you do find in your heart to want to show support in that way, that will probably happen in a few months. So, but when it comes to things like selling these players, this is not easy. I've heard a ton of people talking about the stuff like, oh, we just need to sell so-and-so. We need to just sell this player, just get rid of them. Like, it's not that easy. You can have a garage sale. You can sell a brand new car at a garage sale for $1, but if nobody wants it, if it's not their cup of tea, like, you're still there. Like, someone has to want to buy the player. Somebody has to want to do that. And that's difficult to get, especially when the wages are literally, the proof is right there. The wages that we pay these players is a stumbling block, and it has been. This could very well be a very realistically, a very quiet, very disappointing summer. As Danny B said, it could end up being like a 6 out of 7. I don't even know if it'd be a 6, 7 out of 10, bro. I think we're looking at like a 3 or 4, but when it's all said and done, depending on if and when we get new players in. I know I've said that there's probably talks and deals and discussions going on behind the scenes, and it sounds like there are, but the other side of that is sometimes the talks don't go well. Sometimes, you know, the answer is no. Sometimes you can't come to agreement, even if you spend time having these discussions. No takers for Casemiro. Fulham don't want to pay for McTominay. Lindelof's wages are making it impossible to do anything. Varane left for free. Martial left for free. Wan-Bissaka wants a payoff to leave. This is the situation that we're in right now. Negotiations are only one part of the transfer, you know, especially when it comes to selling players. The wages that we pay have been crippling us for years, and it's literally the sole reason we can't sell players and why we're being battered by PSR and FFP, because we buy, we can't sell, and this is why, the wages. There's no reason Anthony should have gotten a raise from 20K at Ajax to 200K United. There's literally no reason for that. Usman, is that you hitting that heart, man? I appreciate you, bud. Appreciate you, the support, man. It's good to see new faces, good to get new people involved, and good to see the channel grow. So much love, man. Appreciate it. It's a sins of the father kind of situation, right? It's not INEOS's fault, that situation in terms of, but it's what came before them. It's what they've inherited. And unfortunately, it falls on them to figure it out, to navigate it, to come up with a solution. It just is what it is. I think that, again, have they been naive? Have they failed to realize just what a huge, complicated, stressful, frustrating, slow undertaking that would be? I don't know. All signs point to no, they haven't realized it, because it doesn't seem like they were prepared for how hard it was going to be to do. I'm trying not to jump to conclusions. I'm trying not to get all upset and everything. It's just really hard not to be pessimistic, to be negative. I try to be balanced in that, but it's rough. So let me know your thoughts on INEOS so far in this transfer window. We will do another video once the window closes, kind of rating the transfer window and then kind of what our expectations are going to be for the season. Obviously, the expectations aren't going to be on the transfer window itself, because I don't think you can gauge a whole season based on the signings. That's just not a very good sample size, not a good, you know, like factor to go on, right? I think by the time the transfer window closes, though, and we have a couple of league matches under our belt, we see what we're dealing with, how everyone's doing. I think that'll give us a little better understanding. Plus, we're going to be without a couple of big signings, like right off the bat. So it's going to be difficult, but we're going to do our best to give some expectations, to rate the window, and talk about that going forward. So that is going to do it for me, you guys. I'll leave the chat open for a hot second, as always, so I can just check to see if there's been any new updates since I've gone live, because it has been a crazy one this afternoon. Like I said, a lot of it, McTominay, Ugarte stuff, a lot of it's kind of contradictory, but it's still, you know, it's interesting stuff. Interesting. So that's pretty much going to be it. Don't forget to stop by Saturday, guys. We are going to be doing that fun video, kind of doing my season awards for Manchester United. Like I said this morning, going to be doing goal of the season, moment of the season, player of the season, worst referee decision of the season. And we're going to talk a little bit about all those. And then I'll have a few surprise categories that pop up as well. Hopefully going to have some guests here for that with me here at my house, so get more people involved. Don't forget to hit the like button on the video, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Good to see new face. Thank you, Usman, for stopping by today. Thank you, Danny B, for popping up. Danny B, man, he's a machine. He's always here, always supporting the channel. Big up. I know everybody's watching from different parts of the world, so it's always hard to get everybody lined up clockwise. That's why I like to do a morning show and then an evening show, so I can, you know, maybe get more people. But appreciate you guys for stopping by. Appreciate you guys for checking out the channel. We'll see you guys on the next one. Hopefully, you know, I'll wake up to some more news. But until then, enjoy your evening. Thank everybody for stopping by, and I will see you guys later. Bye.